Welcome back, guys. And I just want to say, for those of you who I haven't spoken to for this year yet, Happy New Year to you. I have had a video or so this year already, but I just think it's been a little while since I posted. And today I just woke up and I was like, you know what? I feel like reading another one of Mr. Laman's book stories from his book, The Hero of Fern Gully. It's such a fun little book, and he did give me the honor of being able to read all of the stories if I want to, or some, and every now and then I drop one, and it seems like you guys have been enjoying them. So until I have some more stuff to give you, I'm going to give you this today, and I hope you enjoy the story. And the story is called The Man from Boca. And I find that this book, written by Basil Kong and Glenn Laman, it just has some nostalgic tales in there, and for the most part, if not all, I've spoken to the author and he has said to me that, these are drawn from real life experiences. So if you're from Jamaica and you're listening, sometimes you can find some very relatable things in the stories and things that just make you smile to yourself because you think, yeah, I can relate. I can totally relate to that, So I have fun reading them, and I hope you'll have fun listening. And please don't forget to subscribe and like and share, comment, just make sure that you share the love around, okay? So here goes. And the story is called The Man from Boca, okay? The Man from Boca by Glenn Laman. Friday. As the Delta Airlines flight from Atlanta approached Sangster's International Airport in Montego Bay, Muriel looked out of her window at the emerald sea below and teared up as the island shoreline came into view. The sight of sand and sea brought back many memories and a flood of emotions. She touched her son Peter's arm and pointed to the window. "My island in the sun," she exclaimed excitedly. Prior to the trip, she had done a lot of shopping and brought numerous gifts for her brothers and sisters who still lived on the island. All the bags were overweight, but she was happy to pay the excess baggage fee. After disembarking, she and Peter followed the lines towards immigration and customs. The immigration agent stamped their passports and waved them on. They collected their luggage, several large suitcases, and a box from the carousel. Muriel and Peter joined the green line at customs with a large sign that read, "Nothing to declare." As they approached the customs agent, Peter whispered to his mother, "Remember, if they ask you what you have, just tell them some personal effects." "What if them search everything?" "Just relax, everything will be okay," Peter reassured her. Ahead of them, the female agent was searching the suitcases of a middle-aged female passenger. To the dismay of the passenger, they found 10 pairs of shoes and numerous pocketbooks. "Are these for resale?" the agent asked. "No, man. Me just a stock up, for me know we can shop again," replies the passenger. "I'm sorry, miss, but you'll have to join the next line and pay duty," responds the agent. At the sight of this, Muriel started to shake and laments. "Boy, they're rough with the people them, sir." "Don't worry, mother, she had stuff to sell. You don't have 20 pair of shoes or anything like that," Peter reassured her. The female passenger packs up her merchandise and goes to pay the customs duty. The agent signals for Muriel and Peter to approach. Peter hoists the big suitcases onto the platform. The agent looks at Muriel and asks, "What you have in that handbag?" Muriel trembles a little and then exclaims, "It's just my husband's ashes." Peter looks at his mother with his mouth wide open, shakes his head and throws his arms wide open. "I'm sorry, but you'll need a certificate from the Board of Health," says the agent in a stern voice. "We're just going to throw the ashes in the sea, man," says Peter, imitating a Jamaican accent. "It no matter, you still have to get authorization to bring it into the island," retorts the agent. "Okay, where do I get that?" asks Muriel. "Well, they're closed today, Friday. Nothing can be done before Monday. You just have to go to St. James Parish Council and pay for a permit. You can then take the receipt to the Board of Health and they will issue a certificate. Once you get the certificate from the Board of Health, bring it back here to customs to claim the ashes," exclaimed the agent. "What? But we're staying all the way in St. Elizabeth? Have to travel back to Mobay? Is there anything else you can do?" "I'm sorry, but you have to get the permits before you can get the ashes, ma'am." Muriel is annoyed by this aggravating development, but is determined to have a good trip and show her son some of the island's many offerings. Sunday. Since they arrived in St. Elizabeth, many family and friends have been stopping to see them and express condolences. Muriel decides to show Peter around the parish, which was known as the breadbasket of Jamaica because of its many farm products. Today, they're on their way to nearby Lover's Leap, a steep cliff with an exhilarating and spectacular view where the Santa Cruz Mountains meet the Caribbean Sea. According to legend, Mizzy and Tunky were two slaves from a nearby plantation in the 18th century who chose to leap to their death rather than be separated when their master tried to sell Tunky to another plantation. As they tour the observation deck and visit the adjoining lighthouse, which is the highest in the Western Hemisphere, memories of the many visits she and her late husband Papy made to the beautiful spot flood Muriel's thoughts. They would often have a drink in the bar while enjoying the view. What a love they shared. It was a love which many waters could not quench, as the song goes. The day before they had visited Treasure Beach to unwind and take their minds off the unexpected drama at the airport. The sea breeze had a calming effect on them as they basked in the tropical sun. Muriel's thoughts, despite her efforts, now turned again to Papy's ashes. She was still reeling from the encounter with the customs agent. Why did she blurt out that she had the ashes when she had planned otherwise? Her mind was a mess. What am I going to do with the ashes? She had asked before booking the flight. After various calls and inquiries with no answer, she had simply placed the urn with the ashes in her handbag. She had wanted so much for his final wishes to go off smoothly. Papy was born and raised in Panama Canal Zone. His parents, both Jamaicans, moved there to find work in the early part of the 20th century, building the canal. The French started building the Panama Canal, but the difficulty of cutting through mountains plus thousands of deaths from malaria and yellow fever forced them to abandon the project. The United States then assumed control and completed it in 1914. Thousands of Caribbean workers, including Jamaicans, signed up for this enormous project. Life was not easy for the Jamaicans in the Canal Zone, a U.S. territory that was 5 miles wide on either side along the length of the 50-mile canal. The administration classified them as silver roll workers who received lesser pay benefits and accommodations than the gold rolled workers from the U.S. did. Nevertheless, they made a life, and many of their descendants are there to this day. Papy showed athletic prowess and as a young man earned the nickname El Caballo, the Great Horse. He represented Panama in the 4th Central American and Caribbean Games, earning a gold medal for the relays. Although good at sports, he would end up working at sea most of his life. He started as a dishwasher on a passenger ship. He gradually worked his way up the ladder. When he retired from the shipping line, he was an executive chef. He showed up at Muriel's apartment one evening, accompanied by her sister, with whom he had worked on the Grace Lines. He was a friend of her sister's husband. "I am your man from Boca," he said with a smile. "Where on earth is Boca?" she asked. "Panama. It's a town where I was born and raised." "I have an uncle who went to Panama. I think he lived in Colon," she explained. Muriel was not feeling well that first evening when they met, but the handsome stranger lifted her spirits. She was also just getting over a breakup and wanted nothing to do with men, but he seemed different than all the men she had ever known. "All my life I've been wanting to meet someone like you," he said charmingly. "Get out of here. You probably have a girl in every port," she answered with a big laugh. "Actually, I've been married and divorced and have learned a lot, so whoever gets me now is getting a big prize," he chuckled. "I just retired from the sailing ships and looking forward to settling down with somebody just like you." "Well, keep looking. I've had it with men." "Don't say that. You haven't had it with me, and I know just the best is yet to come for you." Somehow they kept running into each other. Her sister's birthday party, family gatherings, he was there. She soon realized he was an excellent cook. In addition, he was thoughtful, kind, and considerate. And just like that, a whirlwind romance ensued. Within a few months they got married and bought a house in Queens. It was a second marriage for both, and this helped them to appreciate what they had even more. It was not long before she was pregnant with their son, Peter. Papy loved entertaining, and everyone delighted in his recipes. Each meal was a masterpiece. Presentation is everything. Your eyes will see the food before you eat, so it must be pleasing to the eye, was a constant refrain of his. Muriel had so many wonderful memories of him. Peter was enjoying himself. His first visit to the island when he was only 5, did not go so well. The rural landscape and farming life did not impress him. There was no place to get hamburgers and fries, so he wanted to go home. While his parents would make an annual trek to the island, he stayed away. This time he was paying attention to everything and seeing them with fresh eyes. He marveled at the cows, goats, chickens that seemed to wander freely across the land, unperturbed by the goings-on. He admired the plants, the bananas and coconuts, orange trees, the mango and ackee trees. Now he could appreciate why his father was so fond of coming to this land so much. His father had a wonderful sense of humor. He saw the funny side of everything and told him many stories of his life at sea. There was a time on a voyage to Asia, his crewmates rushed to the side of the ship while the captain announced that they were crossing the international date line. Only then did he realize that it was an imaginary line. Once when his father visited Turkey, a group from the ship went to the Black Sea wanting to see if the water was indeed black. They were very disappointed that it was no different from any other sea. Once, Papy had packed so much into his life. He had worked on merchant ships during World War II, carrying supplies across the oceans. He was always aware that at any time enemy destroyers, aircraft, or German submarines known as U-boats could attack and sink them. Years later, he would receive a commendation for service in the merchant marine. Monday. After a 3-hour drive from Top Hill, Muriel and Peter are back in Montego Bay in the morning at the parish council to pay for the permit for the ashes. Her brother-in-law Leroy is acting as their chauffeur for the trip. They arrive at the St. James Parish Council office to find a long line of people wanting to get in. "Wow, I didn't think it would be this busy," exclaimed Peter. "But the line not moving. Why don't you go up to the front and see what's going on?" Muriel suggests. Peter makes his way to the front door of the building. He chats with the security guard and then comes back to his mother. "It's a power failure. The building has no electricity. Elevator's not working," he explains. "Welcome to the third world," adds a woman waiting in the line. "They must think we have nothing to do but waste time in a long line," chimes in another woman. "Half a day's work for half a day's pay," says a man in a Jamaica no problem t-shirt. "Is anyone up there? We come up all the way from country this morning. We're not going back to come again," Muriel explains to the security guard. "Yes, people upstairs, but the elevator not working," says the guard. "Well, we don't mind using the stairs. Which floor to get a permit for the Board of Health?" asks Muriel. "Third floor, but hold on to the rails. It's dark, says the security guard. Muriel and Peter head towards the stairs. The security guard yells up the stairs, "2 people coming!" A man on the 3rd floor is waving a flashlight to illuminate the stairway for them. They grab the rails and slowly work their way up to the 3rd floor. When they get to the office, they discover people are at work using the light from coming in through the windows. They explain that they need a permit for the ashes, and after making a payment, the clerk issues them one. She instructs them to take the permit to the Board of Health, where they'll be issued a health certificate. They get back in the car and head towards the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where the offices of the Board of Health are located. "What a trial over a few ashes," Muriel says to herself. Her pappy would be annoyed at all the trouble just to dispose of his ashes in the sea. He was such an organized person. He was neatness personified. He always had his affairs lined up in order. His friends always joked that he was the only person who could cook a 6-course meal in a tuxedo and still look impeccable afterwards. Everything was so well prepared and laid out ahead of time. He washed his pots and pans while he cooked, so that when his time finished cooking, there was no washing up to be done. Now his final request of scattering his ashes in the Jamaican waters as a nod of life to his life at sea, it was turning out to be a mess. He always said that the sea had a kind of magic. is a tonic for the wear and tear of life. He found it calming and restorative. It was only fitting that he wanted to make his final voyage in the waters of the land he loved. When they arrived at the Board of Health office, the waiting room is empty. They explain their mission to the secretary. She tells them there's no one in the office to sign off on the permit required. She explains that the 2 doctors who are authorized to do it are not there today. But we've come so far, wails Muriel. So much fuss over some ashes, we just have to get that permit today. Please have a seat, ma'am. Let us make a few calls to see if anyone can assist, the secretary says, trying to help. An hour later, there's still no resolution. Muriel is frustrated. The secretary is working the phones to find a solution. Peter nervously starts to walk the hallways of the hospital. He knows everything. He knew everything would eventually be sorted out, but it was frustrating. His father would not be pleased with all the drama over his ashes. Why did his mother have to be so honest? How could his father react to this hiccup now? He recalled that Papy's first visit to the US did not go well. It was a voyage that took him to the port of Baltimore, Maryland. He and another crew member from Panama collected their pay envelopes and went to a bank to change some of the large bills they had been given. The bank personnel were not welcoming, but they grudgingly changed the money. Before they could exit the bank, police officers with guns drawn surrounded them and placed them in handcuffs. The bank personnel had reported them as suspicious black men with a lot of cash. Fortunately, a call to the ship's captain confirmed where the money came from, and they were immediately released. Papy had certainly come a long way. He was not one to hold grudges and always told that story as if it were a comedy. A true Jamaican, he knew how to take bad things, make laugh. He could take a sad story and make it into a comedy. Suddenly, Peter's thoughts were interrupted by the secretary dashing down the hallway. She had located someone who could sign the certificate. "Thank you, Jesus," explained Muriel. "We can't thank you enough," said Peter. "Can we give you a tip? You have saved us a lot of grief." "Oh no," said the secretary. "We're not allowed to accept any gifts." Wednesday. It was a beautiful morning in Alligator Pond, a fishing village some 30 minutes drive from where Muriel and Peter were staying. There's a big ship anchored not too far from the coast. The sea is calm and a gentle wind is blowing. A perfect day to take Papy's ashes out to sea. Muriel had a bouquet of flowers and Peter had the urn with the ashes. They are ready to head out with Roland, who owns and operates the boat they will use. Muriel begins to tear up as Roland guides her onto the boat. Peter carefully cradles the urn and balances himself as the wind picks up. As the boat heads to sea, Muriel gets more emotional. The boat comes to a stop, and Roland shuts off the engine. The shoreline in the distance is gleaming in the morning sun. The Don Figueroa mountains are in the background, and as they look up, they can see the alligator shape that gave the beach its name. Peter touches his mother's hand. "Mother, you want to sing a song?" She nods, and they start singing Bob Marley's "Three Little Birds" as Peter stands up in the boat and reaches for the urn. "This is the moment," he says, as he uncovers the urn and scatters the ashes up overboard. "Goodbye, Papy," says Muriel as she wipes tears from her eyes. "Rest in peace," says Peter as he covers the urn and sits down. Roland starts the engine and they head for shore. To their left, the big ship is now in motion and now heads out into the ocean. They pass the ship silently and wave to no one in particular. "Wow, it didn't take too long for Papy to find another ship headed to the deep blue sea," exclaims Peter. "I like how they were waiting for us to scatter his ashes before casting off." "Yes," says Muriel. "Looks like it was all prearranged." "Bon voyage," says Peter. And that's the end of that story. And I think it's such a beautiful story. And to be honest with you, it's something that I also want to do. I lost my mom some years ago, and she always wanted that as well. And so I plan one day to gather with my family and to take my mom's ashes back to Jamaica and scatter them in the sea. And now I know, because I've read this story, that it's not as simple as taking the urn in your handbag and arriving in Jamaica. You have some bureaucracy to kind of cut through first. So I really enjoy that story for more reasons than one, but also just the places that it takes you to, and just the vibe, and just the whole, you know, how Jamaica, how we run things, and I enjoyed it. So thank you again, Glenn, for another wonderful story. And that book is available on Amazon. It's called The Hero of Fern Gully. This is it backwards, sorry, it's flipped on the video, but you can find it, The Hero of Fern Gully, and it is a worthy read because there are many such stories, and all of them just a fun read. So I really hope you enjoyed that, and I appreciate all of you who support this channel. I really do, and I enjoy reading your comments, so please don't hesitate to drop a comment and share. And you know, we have some fun stuff planned for further down in the year. I hope to make a trip back home and get some nice footage as well. So yeah, thank you for your support, and keep watching. There's more to come, and share, like, comment, subscribe. You know how it go already. Okay, one love, and I'll see you in the next video.